Hello friends, this is Dr. Musheer Ahmad once again on the last part of feedback. In the last lecture, we have discussed about the types and importance of feedback. In this lecture, we will be covering the last two important aspects of feedback, which are developing the feedback skills and requirements for effective feedback. Now, developing the feedback skills. While giving feedback, one should know to what extent the feedback is going to be useful to the person who is receiving the feedback. Before giving feedback, one should phrase it properly so that it does not turn out to be offensive for anyone, that is, the receiver. It is also necessary that before giving the feedback to someone, it must be found out that whether the person is ready to receive the feedback or not. The feedback should go to him or her as a positive proportion and should be accompanied by his acceptability and promise that he will be improving in the future. Some of the important guidelines for developing feedback skills are there that you may see on the slide. Among them, the first point is observation without judgment. We should try to make feedback descriptive with frankness, sincerity, and clarity. We should not try to be evaluative. We should describe our observation without making judgments showing our intentions towards the fact being good or bad. We should leave the assessment to the individual. Second point, concentration on the specificity. Our feedback should not only be factual but also specific. It should not be a general assessment or description. It should be issue specific. This kind of feedback becomes easier for someone to relate to rather than his or her response to general statement. Third point, developing positive attitude. We should try to be constructive in our feedback to have positive results. Negative statements may offend the people. We should not tell the people what they should not do, but help them indirectly to find out themselves what is to be done. If we say what has gone wrong will not have any effect on improvement. In order to look for the area of improvement, we should exercise the conversation control. Now, the fourth point, indicating the ways to improve. We should explain and emphasize the practical purpose of the feedback and also how the receiver might benefit from it. Unless the receiver is convinced with the ways of improvement indicated by us, it is futile to comment on his or her performance. Our feedback should suggest specific areas where improvements are required and how the improvements are under the control of the recipient. 5. Generating a feel for receiving feedback. We should not impose our feedback on someone. In fact, unless our feedback is asked for, it should not be given. Although we cannot stick to this in reality, as it is necessary in order to draw up people's attention to the areas where improvements are required. If the person does not like to receive the feedback, he or she should be clearly told why the feedback is given to him or her. Sixth, proper timing of the feedback. The feedback should be timed properly. Where required, we should explain the taking time, the necessity of feedback. Feedback is not saying a few quick words to someone in a corridor or in toilet to improve his or her performance. We should also judge when someone is in a mood to receive feedback. Now, seventh, feedback for agreement. Feedback should not create differences. Feedback should be so phrased that everything should be clarified and there is a resultant agreement between the recipient of the feedback and the giver of the feedback. Now, the next topic, requirements for effective feedback. Coming down to the requirements for effective feedback, the first point is specific purpose. Feedback is a purposeful activity. For instance, in case of superiors, subordinates communication, feedback is directed towards improving the job performance and making an employee to be a more valuable asset for the organization. Effective feedback thus is directed towards the performance aspect of the job. Second point, descriptive. Effective feedback can be characterized as descriptive rather than evaluative. It tells the sender what has to be done, rather than presenting a value judgment. Third, usefulness. Feedback should aim at supplying information so that the performance can be improved. If the feedback is not capable of correcting or improving the performance, it is not worth mentioning. Fourth point, clarity. Feedback should be capable of being clearly understood by the recipient. 5. Timeliness. Effective feedback is always timely. As a rule, the more prompt the feedback, the better it is. Timely feedback provides a better chance for improvement to the sender of the original message. Receiving feedback. It is an independent topic and there are certain tips that I will be giving to you people how to receive the feedback. One should not try to be aggressive to someone who is giving negative feedback to him or her. A person who is critical about your performance can make you defensive. In fact, you should be positive and supportive enough to receive your criticism, and we all have to learn it. Some guidelines for the recipient of feedback are as follows. Please follow me point by point. The first tip in this regard is that you should take criticism as an advice. The second point, which is most important, you should make a precise and accurate summary of the criticism. Third, you should show your readiness and to learn about others person's feedback about you. Fourth, you should take the feedback in problem solving manner instead of getting angry. You should smile at mentioning of appropriate point of our criticism. 5. You should seek from the person giving feedback his or her suggestions regarding the ways and means of improvement. 6th, you must express your gratitude towards the person who has found time to find out good and bad points in your working impartially and objectively. So, the 7th point, you should start improving in the areas where improvements are really required. So friends, this is all about developing feedback skills and requirements for effective feedback. Very soon we will be meeting on the next lecture, business communication. Till then, thank you very much.